Welcome back to the Liverpool Reaction, an American LFC podcast. I am Salim, and I'm joined by my co-host, Coach Ralph. Coach, how you doing?
Very well today, Salim. Enjoying the sun, although it's still cold up here in Boston.
We got a slight heat wave coming through Denver. It's going to be. It was 60 degrees yesterday. It's going to be 63 today. So and then we get snow on Thursday. So that's fun.
Well, we are getting your heat wave on Wednesday and Thursday. Hopefully not the snow, though. Hopefully not the snow.
Nice. Coach, we have a lot to discuss, as you said right before we hopped on. What's your initial reaction to the game yesterday, Liverpool versus Manchester City at Anfield?
Well, I think generally looking at the game, I think it was a fantastic game between two excellent teams. It was exciting, incident-packed, and much to talk about. From a Liverpool perspective, I just think it shows what an incredible job that Jurgen Klopp has done at Anfield because the team is injury hit. And he's losing players. He loses player as soon as Thursday with the injury to Konate out in Prague.
Mm-hmm.
But yet somehow he's able to juggle the pack and bring out a team that is not just able to compete, but at times dominate the team that's been the dominant team of the Premier League the past few years. And a team that's got all the big guns out there. They're on a winning run. They're on form. And it was just incredible the way that Klopp has been able to marshal his troops, as it were, and stay competitive and maybe come away from the game feeling that they were a little unfortunate not to win.
Yeah, my thought was, it was, from a performance standpoint, I was very happy. It was a very good performance, just a disappointing result.
Yeah, I think that you can look at that and say it's disappointing. And I think the reality is, over the long haul, if Liverpool does fall short in the title race, I think three pivotal games for Liverpool were yesterday, and those two games before Christmas against Arsenal and Manchester United where they all turned out to be draws. And in the Arsenal and the City games, Liverpool certainly created chances to win the game, definitely. Against Manchester United, they may have had 30 shots, but I didn't think they played particularly well that day. And I think that the Manchester United team at that period was there for the taking. So I think that they could be the pivotal games that cost the Reds over the long haul. I suppose the bigger picture is, given everything that's happened through to the close season, and then once we got into the season, all of the injuries, again, tremendous credit to the manager for just getting the team to where they are, keeping them competitive, keeping them in the race. I mean, it's been a phenomenal job, and it just underlines how much we will miss Jurgen Klopp when he leaves.
Yeah, the thing that I love about Jurgen, I mean, there's many things, but the one thing that's really standing out to me, which I think could also kind of be a life lesson, is that he talks about, these things happen. Life is not free of hurdles. Mm-hmm. And we just play with what we have, and we try to do our best. And the fact that message is constantly reiterated to his team and his players, who are majority in their 20s, is really just, not only as a coach they appreciate his willingness to accept the situation and not dwell on what he doesn't have. And I think that's really a true mark of a leader, whether it's in business or in coaching or in your personal life or whatever. But I think there's a lot of things that he does that are underlying that maybe don't get as much credit, but are vastly, vastly important to the way he manages this team and manages the human beings in the club.
Yeah. I mean, it's a vital part of coaching, without a shadow of a doubt. And whilst I think the cliche is it's a results-based business. I think you're right. I think Jurgen Klopp has brought a lot more to the situation than just the results, and he certainly utilizes what he has. You know, he takes a look at players, and I think compared to some of his peers, and he's always compared to Pep Guardiola. I mean, Guardiola has won more, but I feel there is facets to Klopp's coaching style and his management of a team that we don't see as much with Pep Guardiola. And that's not to demean Guardiola. I mean, because he's been very successful. He's a creative coach. He can get the best out of top players. These are all significant qualities that he has. But there are just some sides of coaching that just about every other coach has to face that maybe he does not. Mm-hmm. And I think Klopp has been the best at that. I mean, one of the things that we've seen lately, and it's been a big news story, is Klopp's kids.
Right.
And obviously it's been forced upon him because of the injury situation. But if you look at Jurgen Klopp's tenure at Anfield, over the time he's been there, he's given debuts in competitive games to over 50 academy kids. Now, you can be cynical and say, oh, well, they didn't all make it at Anfield. They're not going to make it at Anfield because obviously it's an elite club. But he's prepared to give them a chance. He's prepared to give them a look. And as he showed in the League Cup final this year, when the chips are down, he will call upon them. And I think that's an incredible thing that he's able to do. And even coming into this game, he had faith with the fact that 3 of his 5 defending unit are academy kids. They've never played against Manchester City before. Canati went down. He could easily have put Gomez as a central defender because he's played there many, many times. Robertson at left full back. Okay, maybe take a gamble on Bradley. But no. I mean, he puts Kwanzaa in, and they respond. I mean, like, they're good players, obviously. But I think so many other managers would look and say, oh, well, they're not ready. They're too young. But yeah, Klopp will give them a go, and he gets something out of them. And it's an incredible quality that he has.
Yeah. When we talk about the actual game, my initial thought, too, was just that after the game ended, and I was slightly... I thought we deserved the 3 points. The team, Liverpool, was better. They had better chances. But also, you're never comfortable in a close game against a team like Manchester City due to their quality. There's match winners all over the field. There's difference makers all over the field on their team, and you're never at ease. But Liverpool was pressing. They worked extremely hard. There was no real room to breathe for Manchester City. There were times where City got the ball and kind of really slowed things down, just to kind of take the air out of the stadium. But as soon as that flipped, that stadium was rocking. They were supporting the team. I think a couple things you can also talk about was Luis Diaz having 3 or 4 chances to win the game, but also how tirelessly he worked up and down. The little run he did in the second half against Kyle Walker and Rodri, I mean, that was just pure heart and desire. He got a couple lucky bounces off one of the players, but I mean, he was extremely lively, and it made me think a lot about what I think of Diaz when I asked you an episode or two ago, when I asked you, I'm kind of getting a little irritated by Diaz. I came to the realization that Diaz is a very big threat when he's not carrying the ball up the left side. He was so deadly making runs behind the defense that it gave me a lot of encouragement, and it made me think that, hey, maybe I assessed this guy incorrectly, because this is where he's really dangerous. Granted, he didn't score, and he should have. I thought he was excellent.
Yeah, I mean, he's a talent. There's absolutely no question about that. And I think I might have said before that he's a wild card. He's a wild card. He's very unpredictable. He's very unpredictable. On the other side of the field, you've got Mo Salah, who obviously is a great talent. You always know what Mo Salah is going to do or try to do, and that's not to knock him, because he's still able to do it so often. But Diaz is just he's a different situation. He's a different case. And that run you were talking about, where basically the City players are challenging him and they're just bouncing off him because he's so determined. He's so determined, and what a quality to have in a player that's on your team, because it has to have a positive effect on his teammates when they see that kind of spirit and that enthusiasm. And there are other players like that on the team. I mean, like, you've got Andy Robertson at the back, who for the last few years, you see these swashbuckling runs he makes from the back, and sometimes he's the first guy pressing the opposing goalkeeper. So Jurgen Klopp has players like this in his team, and it has to rub off on all of the teammates. And I thought he was awesome. It's a shame that he couldn't quite seal it with a goal, but he's a great lad and a great player to have on the team.
Yeah, that run was just, I mean, arguably those are two of City's best defenders. I know Rodri's kind of in the number 6 role, but he's an extremely good player. I think you could maybe, name him as maybe one of the best midfielders in the world. And Kyle Walker, has speed for days, and it was just really, really impressive. And then when he got to the byline and crossed it, and I think Kyle Walker headed it out, Luis Diaz was on his butt, and he was just kind of getting the crowd riled up. And I mean, I don't think he needed to do that, because everybody was so astonished by the level of heart that he displayed on that the stadium was going nuts. But I really have a new appreciation for him, even though I was a little upset that he didn't score. Saying all that, the whole game, there was a lot of things that happened. I think in the first 10 minutes, City kind of had control of the game, maybe even 15 minutes in. But then Liverpool found their footing and really started making things happen.
Mm-hmm. I was concerned when I saw the team, because I was expecting Robertson to start, for example, but I thought that early on in the game that City were playing with some authority, but I was pleased from a Liverpool perspective that the team was competing. Like, they were competing hard. Bradley looked a threat over on the right side,
mm-hmm.
and maybe with a little more composure might have got better results, but you can't fault his passion as well, and his ability to get forward, and his ability to defend. So again, a player with great qualities. And then of course City scored, and it was a bit of a strange goal. And I think I think that when the team reviews it, as we all know that they will feel that it was a soft one to give up. But I would give credit to Manchester City that they pulled it off. I mean, there's a little bit of creativity, very simple in some ways, but you have to tip your hat to them for that. After the goal, I thought Liverpool overall responded very, very well. And they continue to grow in stature. They continue to grow in confidence. They were making chances. But I thought the difference between them and Manchester City when they created chances was City were giving the goalkeeper something to work with. I don't think Liverpool were really doing that at that point of the game. So I don't know how you felt, Salim, but I was a little concerned going into the second half because obviously City had the lead, and I think psychologically, excuse me, Liverpool always likes to attack the cup in the second half. I know it's a small thing, but you know, from when I was a young boy, that's always been part of the DNA of the club was trying to attack the cup in the second half. And so a lot of the things seem to be in favour of Manchester City going into the second half.
Yeah, there was a couple passages of play that I gave me a lot of hope for the second half, and something that I don't necessarily see us playing this kind of way. Generally speaking, we try to get the ball forward as quick as possible and play and press up by the opponent's last third, last half. And the Luis Diaz goal that was disallowed because Nunez was offside, that little passage of play came from, I think, Van Dijk, passed it into McAllister, who went laterally to Endo, that went up to, I think, Nunez, that went back to McAllister, then back to Nunez, and then the cross. And just this little intricate play, Manchester City was literally frozen because all this quick reaction was like one touch. Maybe there was a two-touch in there, but it was so quick. And if Nunez stayed on side, I think we'd be hailing this as, whoa, this is a different type of goal that we're used to. Mm-hmm. I thought McAllister was incredible, so I was really confident going into the second half. But like I said earlier, that the opponent has quality all over the place. And like you said, they were competing. So was I nervous? Yes. Was I was cautiously optimistic that it was coming, and the second half was an onslaught. I mean, just, Diaz coming in. I thought when Salah came in immediately, there was the game shifted for the first 5 minutes that he was on and then kind of settled back down because he was pretty good. You could tell he was a little rusty, but Nunez, for being smart to realize that the Ake pass back to Ederson just didn't have enough mustard on it, and he got to it first. And I right then and there, which I think that was the 50th minute, I said, okay. And then, penalty kicks are nerve-wracking as a fan. And McAllister, and it was a long wait before he had the opportunity to take the kick because Ederson was hurt, and he took some time, and then McAllister just stepped in, put it in, and from then on, I thought there was only going to be one winner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think sometimes I tend to get hung up on what it's like in theory and what it's like on paper. Liverpool were tremendous in the second half. They absolutely were, because they came out aggressively, and Nunez capitalized on an error by Ake. He was sent flying, and you're correct. It was a long wait. It was a long wait before the penalty kick. So kudos to McAllister. He kept his cool. He kept his head, perfect penalty. Ederson went the right way, but there was enough loft on the ball that he was never going to get it because I think if the ball's low, the goalkeeper has a chance of getting it. If it's wide, the more height you can put on it and it's in a wide area, I think it's pretty impossible to save. And so from that point of view, it was a perfect penalty after such a long wait when he could so easily have become nervous and lost his composure.
Yeah. And to be completely fair to City had some chances too. Foden had one.
Oh, sure.
Doku off the post. So they had chances also. So, maybe in retrospect, 1-1 maybe is a fair result. But the chances were favoring our Reds, and there was several players that I thought were outstanding. I thought McAllister was outstanding. I thought Diaz was outstanding. And I thought Virgil was just a boss back there.
Oh, yeah, the whole spine of the team. And I wouldn't forget Endo again because...
Yes, and Endo.
That guy, his energy, his work rate, he's just everywhere. He's everywhere for Liverpool. And when you're looking at it, and it's a rebuilt midfield unit, obviously Szoboszlai's not 100% after a long spell out through injury. But I think that when he comes back to full fitness, that's going to be a very strong midfield threesome. Because I think looking at the game beforehand, and you think, okay, Manchester City's got De Bruyne, they've got Rodri, they've got Diaz. They have the upper hand over Liverpool. But it didn't turn out that way. And in the second half, obviously Guardiola, I think there were a couple of things that we're seeing from Manchester City that we normally do not see. And the first is at times they were having just to boot the ball away or as we say in England, just welly the ball because they were under that much pressure. And then he made a tactical change, bringing on Kovacic and everything. And they just wanted to possess the ball, and they wanted to possess the ball truthfully without going forward, which again, isn't a typical Manchester City tactic. True, they do possess the ball, but they're always looking to get the chink in the armor of the other team. I felt that they were just looking to possess the ball so that Liverpool couldn't put any more pressure on them.
Yeah,
and it's just...
And De Bruyne was the substitute, and De Bruyne is fantastic. So that was really interesting that was the decision. But and then the little spat on the sideline, I'm not sure what happened there. Probably De Bruyne just wants to play, and that's understandable.
Oh, yeah.
I agree with you. They even the statistics are that 52.8% possession was in Liverpool's advantage, and there's probably just a handful of games in Pep's reign at Manchester City that they haven't had the lion's share of the possession. So that was pretty encouraging too.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I mean, Liverpool can take a lot out of this game, and they have a break in a sense from the league this week because they have two games, neither of which are in the Premier League, and I'm sure we'll come on to that a bit later. But yeah, I think there's so much to be encouraged about from a Liverpool perspective, and I think that we can get kind of caught up in, okay, well, they could have got 3 points, and they could have got 3 points against Arsenal before Christmas and all of that. What they are doing and what the manager is doing to keep them competing on all four fronts is absolutely, it's incredible, really. It's incredible.
Coach, who were your man of the match? Was it one? Was it two? I have two myself.
Go on, you shoot first.
Yeah, I think Virgil and McAllister were probably co-man of the match. Endo was fantastic. Diaz was fantastic. The team performance was 10 out of 10, maybe 9 out of 10 because the missed chances. But I thought Virgil and McAllister were literally owning the game.
Yeah. I think there's 4 players that are hard to separate, and I think that you've identified them. I think Virgil van Dijk at the back, he's at the top of his game again. I think the 2 lads in midfield, Endo and McAllister, they kind of complement each other so well. Mm-hmm. Both very high work rates, but different skill sets. And then Diaz just works so hard up front, and he was awesome. And as you say, it was a shame that he didn't quite convert his chances. But I think those 4 for me were the pick. And I'd have to give kudos to all the young lads who played. Obviously, Elliott is the most experienced in terms of first-team football, but he just has tremendous energy. And this was a game where he went for the full ride. I mean, usually he's either subbed out or he subs in, but his work rate just never falters. Bradley did well when he played. Kelleher looked very assured. He's very calm at the back.
Yeah.
And Quansha as well. I mean, he's might be slightly before your time, but he does have some shades of Alan Hansen coming out of the back when he has the ball at his feet.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, he is I think Bradley and Quansha are going to be top prospects at Anfield for years to come.
Yeah, and Virgil's getting a little bit older. However, he's not showing any sign of slowing down anytime soon. But the fact that Quansha's right there, and at some point he's probably going to fill that role, and Konate is a very good player as well. So for this being a transition year, I mean, what a transition! I mean, no one. I think even us, who support them and watch them carefully, were, there's a lot of changes that happened, and but there were really good changes. And we could talk about Coach Jurgen Klopp and the way he manages the player and the squad and the game is second to none, and it's due to him that this transition went very, very smoothly. And again, I think, not to kind of repeat myself, but really, I think the way he views life and the way he accepts situations and moves forward with them, I think is the main point here that has given this team confidence to perform and to be okay with what it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, coming back to Jurgen Klopp yet again, and I'm sure it will be the case as we go through the closing weeks of his tenure. If you look overall at his history at Liverpool, people will always focus on the trophies, and I think that's understandable. But for me, some of his greatest work has been when he's been placed under duress. For example, the COVID season.
Yeah.
Where they were going great up to Christmas. They were top of the league. And then all of a sudden, he lost his whole central defense unit. And he made some mistakes, which another thing that I like about him is he will call himself out. He moved Fabinho and he moved Henderson into the back 4. That totally changed the balance of the team. And at some point, they were going through that bad run where they were losing all their home games. And at some point, he said to himself, or he admitted to himself, I've got this wrong. What does he do? He brings in 2 untested academy central defenders in Phillips and was the other one Williams? Yeah, I think it was Williams. Yes. Sticks them in at the back and then kind of changes the tactics slightly, maybe not quite so high press because they don't have the pace at the back. But then they start to get onto another run again, and they get into the Champions League places when everybody had said that they weren't going to do it. And it was a bit similar last year. And okay, he fell short, but but somehow he's able to gather his team together, gather his squad. He's able to bring in players. They play different roles, different expectations, and that to me is the sign of a great coach. And Jurgen Klopp,
Yeah.
I'm not the first one to say this, he is truly a great coach.
Yeah. And Coach, I just want to touch on the Liverpool Sparta Prague game last Thursday. We don't have to go too deep into details on it, but good performance, 5-1. Salah got on the field, which was positive because then we knew he would have some role in the game yesterday against Manchester City, and just overall, I thought it was it was, I don't want to say easy game, but they made it easy, and the fact that Sparta Prague in their first 10, 15, 20 minutes did not score, and they had chances because we were kind of leaking opportunities, and when they didn't make those and we scored a couple goals, I think it was pretty devastating for Sparta Prague, considering they played pretty well.
Now, are you referring to Sparta?
Yes. Yeah.
They were dangerous going forward, but they just couldn't get the finishing touch. And I think you're correct. I mean, they had some fantastic chances, and it took Liverpool a little while to get into gear, and I think that was because of all of the changes of personnel. But clearly, the difference between the teams was that Liverpool, they may have not scored as many as we'd have liked against Manchester City, but overall, I think Liverpool in attack are generally in a pretty healthy state. So yeah, that was really the difference between the teams, and I think it's set up nicely for Liverpool in terms of they entertain Sparta on Thursday. He's going to rotate, he's going to rotate the team.
Yeah.
And so I think that's nice. It gives an opportunity for some other players to play. Because they have the cup game at Manchester United next week, and I think Manchester United, because we played them twice in pretty quick succession, and both at Old Trafford. I think that those are the games, and I think the derby game against Everton, whenever that's rescheduled, those will be the hardest games for Liverpool because the opponent isn't going to try to bring the game to Liverpool. I think Liverpool have played some games recently where the opponent, Bournemouth or teams like that, they like to play open. And so I think that suits the Reds, but I think they find it harder when the team sits in. And that's even with all their big guns out there as well. I mean, Forest kind of set a template for, I think, many games that Liverpool will face this run-in. In as much as they sat in, they made it difficult for Liverpool, and then Liverpool play the high line, they commit players forward, there's a lot of space to be exploited, with the right kind of ball, and then speed. And I think that's going to be the issue that Liverpool will face in their remaining games, and I think it'll be evident at Old Trafford next Sunday.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that works out. The two other things from the Sparta Prague game. One, I thought Darwin's second goal, the volley, was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
His first goal was very nice too. It's nice to see him get on the score sheet. Forwards in general, are kind of up and down with confidence, and when they're confident and the goals start going in, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised here if Darwin goes on a nice little hot streak. I thought, he had one chance in the City game from Robertson's cross, but that was a very difficult chance. He got his foot on it. I mean, the goalie closed down. The
goalie did
he did really good there, but he got his foot on it, and but okay, the goalie made a play, but I'm really confident moving forward with what Darwin's going to provide more consistently. And I thought on one other thing came to my mind. I was kind of looking at the Sparta Prague players, and I was thinking, who's a player from this team that maybe could play on the Liverpool or could be in the Liverpool squad. And I thought number 2, he was their right back, Percato. I thought he was very good.
Yeah, well, we're of like mind because he caught my eye as well. Actually, I believe he's from Ecuador. And yeah, he looks like a prospect to me.
Yeah, he played well. He wasn't intimidated or overwhelmed by the situation. I mean, granted, they took a bit of a beating, but it was due to lack of finishing on their end. And I thought number 2 was Percato was very good. But moving forward now, Sparta Prague on Thursday again in Anfield. I think you're 100% right. It is going to be a rotation. They're up 4 goals on aggregate. This game could be boring. This could be a 1-0, 2-1, 0-0 type of game.
Actually, I think historically some of these dead rubber type games, Liverpool have lost even at Anfield. So yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what the manager does, how the crowd reacts to it as well, because 4 goals to the good, it does seem a little bit anticlimactic. But I think, as I said earlier, I think he'll use it as an opportunity to rotate. So I would be surprised if he plays Van Dijk. Will he play Konate? I don't know. So I think Quansah will play. He can move Gomez. He can move Gomez into the centre if he feels he has to. I think Tsimikas will get a run. I would expect to see Bradley again. And I think in the midfield, I don't know, Jones is ready to come back yet. He doesn't have as much depth there, perhaps, but I think Bobby Clark will get a start, at least. And I think McConnell could play as well. I think McConnell, whether he starts him as well, I don't know. But I think he'll get some minutes. And up front, I think that Gakpo will start. And then Jayden Dans wasn't available at the weekend because of the concussion protocol, but I have a feeling he should be cleared.
Yeah.
So I think he'll come into the mix because I think he might have played or come off the bench against City because he has that similar trait to Darwin Núñez in that he creates a bit of chaos. And he's energetic and he's everywhere basically. So I could see him getting a run. Against Sparta.
A squad probably similar to the Caribou Cup final.
I don't know whether he'll go quite as far as that, but who knows?
Yeah,
who knows? I think he'll want to make sure that they get to half time and Sparta's not back in the tie. I think that'll definitely be on the manager's mind. And then the second half, he can pretty much do what he wants. He can pretty much do as he wants if everything's going well.
Do you think maybe he starts Salah to get him 45 minutes under his belt as he kind of reintegrates him into the team and also avoids injury at the same time, but kind of gets him some more minutes?
Yeah, I think that's possible. I think it depends on how how the medical staff and Jurgen Klopp kind of see his reintegration into the squad, because he had the injury with Egypt, and then he came on against Forest, and I think they brought him on earlier than they were wanting because of injury,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously that move backfired. So I think Klopp will certainly see minutes. Sorry, not Klopp. Salah will see minutes. Does he start him? Does he bring him on? How many minutes? I think that's to be determined, really, because Klopp may decide that in both the Europa League game and the FA Cup game that he brings Salah on rather than burden him with too much work too soon as he recovers.
Yeah. And then the more interesting fixture, Sunday, I believe is it Sunday or Saturday, against Manchester? Okay.
Sunday against you.
Yeah, at Old Trafford. What's your initial thought on that matchup?
Now, who did United play the weekend?
They played Everton. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
1-2-0.
Yeah. I watched the game. I watched the game, and United won. They weren't overly impressive. But I think that what we saw, I think we'll get that in spades against Liverpool, where they really sit in at the back. And then they do have some serious pace up front, obviously. And I think Garnacho is a very impressive young prospect. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think we know what the game is going to be like with Liverpool having possession. It's a question of whether they can convert, because they didn't in the league game at Anfield. And the longer it goes on without them scoring, that is only going to favour Manchester United. It'll be an interesting game, but I think we know how it's going to play out.
Yeah, and United was starting to get on a roll with Rasmus Højlund. He started playing well. He started scoring goals, and then he got an injury. And I'm interested in seeing if he comes back, because he makes all the difference in the world for that team that is almost strikerless without him. So with him being the striker, if he's available, that does make the team even a little bit more dangerous, because he can finish. And it's a derby game. It's two teams that don't like each other. Two fan bases that wishes demise on the other. So I think you're right, though. They are going to sit in. I think we talked about it on another podcast that last time they didn't, it was 7-0, and that was something that they don't want to repeat for sure.
So is Højlund due to come back at the weekend?
I'm not sure if he is, but I know that when he initially got injured, they were saying 2-3 weeks. And that was about 2-3 weeks ago. So I'm not sure if he had a setback, but or if he's going to be on the bench and they're going to bring him on, or if he's even going to be available. But I think he does make a bit of difference, because he was starting to find form before he got injured.
Yeah. I'm just looking up the injury reports here on the internet. Here we are. Højlund. Yeah, he was 50% for playing last weekend, and he's got a chance of returning for Sunday. It's saying here he's got a chance of returning. So we'll see. It looks like Maguire could be back. Wan-Bissaka looks like he could be back. I think that they'll set up the strongest defensive unit that they can at the back. I think that's a given. So it looks like Shaw's out for a while. So So I would expect three of the back four to be Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, and Varane, and
Probably Dalot on the other side.
Dalot, or he plays Lindelof over on the left. I think he's done that before. So I think that they will set up with the strongest defensive unit, and I think that the midfield will be combative. I think that's how we set them up against Everton. So somebody like Christian Eriksen, who's a quality player, I doubt he would start.
It's got to be Casemiro and Bruno, right? And then maybe McTominay?
Well, he played McTominay and he played Manu.
Right.
And then they only really had the two strikers, per se, although McTominay does well as a supporting striker. So I wouldn't be shocked if he does something like that again, because McTominay can kind of go both ways. He can be a combative midfielder and he can be a supporting striker. And depending what the situation is with Højlund, I mean, like he's got Rashford and he's got Garnacho, who are both very fast.
Yes, those two players are very, very fast. With that in mind, what do you think the outcome of Sunday's game will be?
I think it's going to be tight. I know that a lot of people think, Liverpool are having a great season. Manchester United are up and down. It's at Old Trafford. It's a derby game, as I believe you said, and it's a cup game. I think it's going to be incredibly tight. Don't be surprised if it goes to penalty kicks at the end, because the game has to be resolved on the day. So I think it's tight. I think it could be a one-goal game either way, hopefully for Liverpool, but it could well go to penalties.
Coach, with this game, I agree with you, but would an early Liverpool goal change Manchester United's tactics as far as being a little bit more cautious?
If Liverpool score early, it will definitely mean that they have to change their game plan to some degree. I don't think that they'll be coming at Liverpool hell for leather, but I do think that they'll have to open up and try and get forward. If Manchester United score early, hopefully not the case. I think that could be hard for Liverpool because it means that they may have to commit players, even more players forward. So, it's going to be an intriguing tie, and I don't think the result is a foregone conclusion.
I hope that it doesn't. Does it go straight to penalty kicks, or is there extra time?
I believe there's extra time, and then it would go to penalties.
It'd be nice to avoid one of those, huh?
Sorry, I didn't catch you there.
Yeah, no, I was saying it would be nice to avoid extra time, just because of the amount of minutes that they've played.
Yeah, I think that's true. But I believe it's the last game prior to an international break. So I don't know if that's as much a concern. I think the international break brings other issues for managers, like Klopp and the other teams who are at the top of the table. But I think they're just going to go with whatever happens on Sunday, and hopefully it's a win for Liverpool. Better still if it's in the 90 minutes.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, Coach, a pretty decent week for our Reds. One win in the Europa League, a very, very good game against Manchester City, very good performance, even though the 3 points weren't netted, but 1 point is better than none, and we are in a highly competitive title race with three really good clubs, really good teams. I think it'll come down to the final week, and let's hope for another positive week for our Reds.
Yep. Fingers crossed as always. And it's exciting that we've got so many games to look forward to. And I think that's the sign of a good team having a great season.
Yep. And everybody, thank you again for listening. Hello to all the Liverpool fans out there. And we will see you next week, I guess you'll hear us next week. And we'll go from there.
Okay. Bye, everyone.